Welcome to Sincerely Bhakti, episode 27, Equal Vision is Defined. So we are reading from Bhagavad-gita as it is, with commentary by Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, reading chapter 5, verse 18. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. The humble sages, by virtue of true knowledge, see with equal vision a learned and gentle Ramana, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog eater, or an outcast. So there is a phrase in the Sanskrit that really struck me, and that phrase is Vidya Vinaya Sampanne. So Vidya means with education or true knowledge, and this translation, Prabhupada says here, by virtue of true knowledge, and that means education, that I've received that true knowledge from somewhere. But it's paired with a character trait, or this vinaya. This means with gentleness. So I have true knowledge, I have true education. It's paired with compassion, with gentleness. So I don't allow that education to make me egoistic or to think myself as better than others, but rather as an increasing my consciousness and my awareness of compassion towards others. So this sampanne means fully equipped. So fully equipped with compassion and gentleness and true knowledge, then one can see with equal vision. So it's interesting here that vidya, this education, means that this is a learned transcendentalist. They're not just speculating about spiritual life or about the truth of the soul and God. This means I'm learned. So the truly learned person can see the distinction between matter and spirit. That is ultimately what true education does boil down to. And Srila Prabhupada does say that in other places, that this is what needs to be taught in schools, the distinction between matter and spirit. He starts off his purport by saying a Krishna conscious person does not make distinctions between species or castes. So this is also where it becomes somewhat controversial, you could say, because, okay, there's castes of people, there's social distinctions there. And so we can tend to not see people on equal level, that this person on a social level is better than another. So that's one way. But there's also species. So there's the dog, the cow, the elephant. These are distinctions of species. Also seeing that within these animals, there's also a spirit. So within every human being, no matter the social distinction, there is a spirit soul. And within every species of life, there is also a spirit soul. So there are different bodies and different coverings of the soul. Prabhupada writes here, the bodies are material productions of different modes of material nature. But the soul and the super soul within the body are of the same spiritual quality. So there's the soul and the super soul. What is the super soul? That is the Lord within the heart. And this blows my mind, because if there's any qualification that makes God God, is the fact that within the billions upon billions of living entities on this, just this one planet, God is also present within their heart as well, every living entity. So this verse names cows and elephants and dogs, but every plant, every insect, everything, every living entity has a soul. That is what animates that living entity, is the spirit soul. And within each spirit soul, next to that soul is Paramatma, or the Lord in the heart. He's present everywhere. He is the supreme eternal friend, always guiding us. It's so beautiful. It's so incredible that God is within everyone's heart, and he's within my heart. And there's no distinction between species or at what stage of life one might be in. The soul is still there, and inherently there is value for that soul. And in Catholicism, I taught at a Catholic school for some time. it's called the formation of conscience. And that happens around 11, 12 years old. And that's when they have this ceremony of confirmation, where a child formally decides to take up Catholicism and commit to the path, because it is understood that at that age, 11, 12, 13, their conscience is forming and they can make these decisions. They become responsible for their lives. And that conscience, that is the guidance within the heart. What is right? What is wrong? What should I do here that is the highest path? And, around that time, I was a camp counselor and I met a young girl. She was, I believe, 12. And she had decided to become a vegetarian just completely on her own, because she saw the suffering of animals and that it wasn't right to eat animals. And what was interesting, I was a fellow co-counselor of another woman who at that same age, when she had been 11 or 12, she had also chosen to become a vegetarian. And I met quite a few people that summer who had somehow decided around that age that they wanted to become a vegetarian in some capacity, because that is the age where you see that is wrong and this is right, and to eat animals is not right. That formation of conscience that happened, that awareness, and they actually acted upon it. They realized, I have some agency, I can make choice. I'm not only going to do what my parents are telling me to do or what society is telling me what to do, but I'm going to make a choice here and I'm going to make the right choice. So they weren't making that distinctions between species. The spirit soul is still there. And so that compassion, that gentleness, we're all called to have knowledge as well as compassion. It's a very important tenet of Krishna consciousness to be a vegetarian, because it means compassion, cultivating that compassion within the heart. And also very much connected to this, a very controversial subject, but is this subject of abortion. And, scientifically, life begins at the time of conception. And so understanding, just because there's only a few cells, right? Even just a few cells or just a clump of cells, or a fetus that can't survive outside of a womb, say, it doesn't mean that the soul is not there. The soul is there at the time of conception. And so that soul has inherent value, and that soul is accompanied by the Lord in the heart as well. So that clump of cells, that developing fetus, however you want to call it, that child, that is still a soul. And when we have true knowledge, that we make the distinction between matter and spirit, that because a fetus's body is maybe undeveloped in some way, the soul is fully developed. The soul is never cut or killed or somehow undeveloped. It is full and complete, the soul. So whether it is residing within one cell or within a human body with billions of cells, the soul is perfect and complete, because it is we are also emanations from the Lord himself. So understanding that the value of life is also there. So regardless of species, regardless of social distinctions, regardless of the capacity of the body, whether the body is undeveloped or the body is disabled, whatever might be the body's physical expression, the soul has inherent value. And to be able to see that and acknowledge that value is divine. To try and see the equality of all living beings on a material level is literally impossible. So that is divine vision, to see the equality amongst all living beings and to do so with gentleness and compassion. Because if Krishna is the friend of all, he can see all of us with equal vision. We have that capacity also. We have that capacity to be the friend of others with gentleness and compassion. So those are my reflections upon this verse from chapter 5 about seeing with equal vision, with education and compassion. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you next time.